if the cheapest and efficient energy makes efficient energy with solar power and wind, that's what China and India would be doing right now. But it's not. And that really speaks to the heart of the lie. Because if we were, our governments keep telling us, well, this is the cheapest form of energy. They would say it ad nauseum in Queensland State Parliament. Well, if it is, how come China and India aren't building it? Because for themselves, they're building coal-fired power.
This week, the little coal-fired power station closed for good. Across Australia, 11 coal-fired power plants closed between 2013 and 2020, and at least 7 more are slated to close between now and 2030, representing about a third of our total generating capacity. Meanwhile, globally, 190,000 megawatts worth of coal-fired power stations are under construction, including 6,000 megawatts in Vietnam and over 100,000 megawatts in China. China is building the equivalent of 2 Liddell power stations every week. A poll this week revealed the rising cost of electricity is our biggest worry, and in a foreshadowing potentially of what may be befalling us if we head down this path, Germany, which was a world leader in renewable production through the 2000s, has got draft legislation on the table to mandate a 26% reduction in electricity usage because of fears around energy security. So, Robbie, how do you explain the madness at the heart of Australia's energy policy, and what can we do about it?
You'd explain the madness around the decision making that it's ideologically driven, and we've departed from facts and rationale, I think, a long time ago. And that's not to say there aren't some decent arguments raised on the other side about the planet and climate change, but thinking that our efforts, or thinking that shutting down that coal-fired power station in Australia is going to make a difference, it just, we have to say laughable. And you're saying 2 Liddell power stations being built every week in China, and there's an insatiable appetite for more energy and the cheapest and most efficient energy. Now, if the cheapest and efficient energy makes efficient energy with solar power and wind, that's what China and India would be doing right now. But it's not. And that really speaks to the heart of the lie. Because if we were, our governments keep telling us, well, this is the cheapest form of energy. They would say it ad nauseum in Queensland State Parliament. Well, if it is, how come China and India aren't building it? Because for themselves, they're building coal-fired power. And I visited the KAP power station, all those coal-fired power stations in Queensland. The government said, well, we have no plans to close them down. But here's the thing, a lot of them are winding up their maintenance now. So you can't, these things don't just, you can't, not do maintenance for like 5-10 years and then just continue to keep them open. You've got to go back to the market for funds and put to a board that you need to reinvest to put new bearings in the turbines or whatever you have to do. But none of that's been done. So they're all winding this stuff up. And Germany is load shedding that serious. But with load shedding, there's evidence of load shedding in Australia now, or preparation at the very least for it right now. So we're experiencing it, and there is no turning around the ship at the moment. If anything, they're pulling the throttle lever on the ship that's can't just down this path.
So to me, the biggest lie is the idea that you can replace this firm dispatchable power with solar, with wind, and even with a battery.
Dispatchable baseload power is the primary driver in behind the grid. It's I'm no electrical engineer, but I know enough to know that that's a requirement. And every time that's not there, we have the failures like in South Australia and global. That's when they lack that. And the interesting thing is that there are actually, if you buy into the climate change debate and say, all right, that is the thing that I do believe that it's hinged. Even if you did say that, you did have that immediate requirement for low emissions baseload dispatchable energy, well, then why aren't we talking about nuclear energy? It's been done for many years. We've decided it's happy to have in our submarines and our tanks, of course, work beside it. We've had various sources within Australia before, and the rest of the world seems to think it's all right. But and there's never any rationale behind it. It's just not in my backyard. The interesting thing for me is like when people started really hating on coal, and I know it's you could draw a direct correlation to that, and that the rise of climate change, the pushing of climate change out there. You know, I really wish people would say, embed in their language, even if they're all buying the climate change and saying it's the world going to end and coal's a big cause of that, even if they embed it in their language at that point. But we do recognise what it delivers to the economy. It's helped pay for my university education last year, which is an absolute truth here in Queensland. But there's a complete ignorance of that. And the Greens MPs in Queensland say, oh, look, there'll just be replacement industries. It's just farcical. The $8 billion of royalties that comes off the industry, and just saying, oh, we'll replace that with something else, that's just fantasy there. And the jobs and prosperity that comes of it is that needs to be on the table in the argument, because it's subordinate to just like everything's about the climate, and they depart from all rational argument from there. So I don't know when we really started hating it, but at the very least, people should appreciate what pays the bills, and go back to the main primary point though is anything we do is not going to make a difference. So I'm not sure why we would be carrying the guilt of the rest of the world and stopping any emissions from here, and then finally again, why wouldn't be using nuclear energy if they want to replace anything? Why? I'm like, aren't we had the conversation at least about nuclear energy? The other important point to make is that ever since we've been on a big renewables push in this Queensland, I shouldn't say we, because haven't been elected the KP pushing, but we've been very sceptical with the push for renewables, but they've always said it hasn't impacted on the cost of your power bill, and that is absolute nonsense. In the case of those on there is, there's elements of that directly relate to what is subsidised and renewable energy in this state and in this country. So it's absolute rubbish to say that. And if not, then give us a reason why our bills went from, let's say it averaged $200 a quarter to now like $1,000 a quarter. You've got to give me a reason, because that's not wages or inflation. There's something pumped up those prices, and there's again a direct correlation with the introduction of these renewables and all that subsidy and our pricing down. So there has to be some relationship in there.
Shifting gears, Robbie, Bud Light recently partnered with a trans activist and popular TikTok creator, Dylan Mulvaney, who boasts 10.8 million followers, to promote their beer on social media. Now, the backlash was immediate and it was severe, with sales plummeting and the advertising executives at the company given other duties to perform.
Yeah.
Robbie, do you hope the Bud Light fiasco means time is being called on this kind of obnoxious corporate pandering to social causes?
Yeah, well, it's hard to see where the ceiling is on this stuff. It's certainly been tested, the virtue signaling for executives. And it's just, it's a pervasive, I call it a disease amongst these executives. They all have to prove to each other how woke they are, and at the expense of nothing, really. They're willing to put their careers, everything on the line, to offend all their loyal customers. Now, I don't see the heterosexual market sort of trying to burst into the trans market to convince them of, sell them their products. It makes no sense other than you're ideologically driven and just purely virtually signalling why they would take that action. But unfortunately, I've said it too many times before, I don't think it's the end of it, anywhere near the end of it, because there's just people are just so wedded to this change, and but sadly, it's become reality. What we were watching on Monkey Python 20 or 30 years ago is becoming reality, and I don't think we should be forced to adjust to it. Bud Light was the working man, classic American working class man's beer, and that's sort of how it's characterised. Now, if you don't like that, or good, go drink another beer. But why would you be, in heaven's name, would you think it's a good idea to try and bring in this completely other market? I'm no marketing expert, but I know enough to know that you don't spit on your existing market, which this is doing. I mean, clearly, like I saw the video of Kid Rock, where his automatic weapon blowing up the Bud Light on a river. That's the sentiment you're getting from that. Traditionals like Bud Light and drinkers. So clearly they knew they were going to offend the majority of their market. So why would you do it? the only way that makes any sense is if you're trying to force your value set on them. And from the executive, classic, from the top end of town, the executive office that's detached from reality, thinks, oh, it'd be a great idea just to force my values. And it's fairly narcissistic way because I believe they're all wrong and they just need to know my values, this corporate office, and I'm going to impose that on all of them. And the rest of America gave them the, they had to say, what you can do with your values. And, likewise, I don't walk up the middle of Wickham Street and down to the nearest O'Chain pub in Brisbane and try and say you should all be heterosexuals and be more, why do it unless you're really trying to be divisive and flame things? It speaks to the moral virtue of these people and what they're trying to do. And it's not rational at all, and they got what they deserve, those executives.